Welcome to Subramani. I'm going to talk to you today about the principles of investing, some very important principles of investing. I wouldn't know the number 10, 12, 15, 20, whatever. So let me start. So first of all, to create wealth, you invest to create wealth. Make no mistake about that. You are buying some assets, hoping to sell it off at a higher price, and that increase taken care of after inflation and taxation should be positive, right? It should be a real return that you get. Sometimes you'll get 2%, sometimes you'll get 8% or whatever, but you have to get a positive return on that over a long period of time or a short period of time. You could be investing for 10 days, you could be investing for 10 years. I'm not talking about that, but first, yes, you have to invest. Now, when I say you have to invest, point number 2 is first create the atmosphere for investing. Now, this is not easy and not very many people speak about it. Now, suppose your father has been a school teacher or he is a priest at a local temple. It's fairly obvious he may not have invested, right? So, if he has not invested, your family does not know about investing, and therefore you should first create a atmosphere, mahol, for investing. And for that you have to make sure that your family understands equity investment, because everybody in the family has to. I'm assuming you are, say, 22 years of age, you're not married, you've got a mother, father, younger brother, younger sister, whatever, right? So in that atmosphere, explaining to people what you're trying to do is very important, because when you invest 10,000 rupees and that becomes 12,000, then it does not require any explanation. But when you invest 10,000 and it becomes 8,000 and you invest more money and then it becomes even lesser, that is the time when all this effort will pay off. So first of all, create an atmosphere for investment. If your family is rich and it has always been investing, you can skip this step. But if you don't have, then you have to create this step. Not too many people talk to you about this, so this is very important that you do this. Third, create a family protection first. So make sure that your family has adequate medical insurance, it has adequate term insurance. If you are the earning member, then you have to have term insurance. If there is somebody else who is earning, that person also should be covered for insurance. Make sure about all these things. Creating the atmosphere means, one is creating the mindset that you will lose money. I'm putting 10,000, it can become zero. Explain this to the family. That's very important. Your father may have 2 crores in bank fixed deposits, but that does not mean he is willing to lose 1 rupee also in the equity markets. He does not know, he does not understand. It is your job to make sure that he understands. People don't think of all this. People just say, oh, I have 10,000 rupees, I will invest. When that 10,000 becomes zero, how do you explain it to your parents? It may be your money, but in a middle class family, every money is common money, right? So if you can't lose your father's money, you can't lose your mother's money, you cannot lose your money. Even when you lose your money, people will say, oh, what is this nonsense, what did you do? So explaining to them, creating the atmosphere in which to invest is step number 2, or step number 1, I would think. That you don't think it is necessary, then you're in. Point number 3 is, when you've created the atmosphere, it is easier to deal with volatility in your own mind, in your parents' mind. You have told them that, look, I could lose money. In case there's a medical emergency, this provision is there. I'm earning well, so I can afford to lose money. Or say, I've just started earning, so I'm taking 10,000 rupees from dad and putting it. Now this figure could be 10,000, 1 lakh, whatever it is. But I'm assuming whatever money you're putting, keep the house ready for losing it, right? So dealing with volatility becomes easier when you're protected on all sides with all this. Now suppose you're husband and wife, you got married, you're 28 years of age, you've got married, she's also earning, you're also earning, you're staying with your parents, then it becomes even easier, because you say, okay, there is a stability of my income, so we will use my wife's income partially to deal in shares or something like that. There is little more extra cash flow available with which to deal with shares, right? In your total investment journey, in the first few years, what matters most is how much of a percentage you save. So you're earning 100 rupees and you're saving 70 rupees, 80 rupees. That's much better than saving 10% or 20%, because you have less. So the fact that you're saving more is important. So how much you save and therefore invest is far more important than the return that you get, because your corpus is very small. Till the corpus gets built to a big amount, maybe by the time you're 40, 45, after that how much you put into it won't matter as much as to what kind of return that you're getting. So the R in the compounding formula does not matter at all in the beginning, because the amount that you're putting in is very small. It does matter, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it is not as important. Most important is the length. So if you can invest for 70 years, that is the greatest. But assuming you do not know how much N is going to be, initially A is important, how much you are investing. After some time, 10-15 years, R becomes important. So understand, initially you don't have to chase returns. You have to make sure that you're saving 50, 60, 70% of what you're earning, or 30%, whatever. Make sure that you are saving the maximum possible in the initial stages. Later on, compounding will take care of you, and you may not have to save so much, because but you have to manage your investment well. But initially it is the saving rate which will be very important. Also understand that what people tell you in the social media is something to be scared of. So when the markets have fallen, they will tell you cash is king, right? But the market has already fallen 18%, 15%, 19%, 20%, whatever. It has already fallen. After that, telling you cash is king makes no sense. If they told you before the market crash and you moved some money to cash, that would have been lucky, or whatever. You tried some market timing and it worked. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. More chances that it won't work. But what looks very, very safe in the short run, for example, I have cash, and if I keep cash sitting piled up here, that looks very safe because I can control it, everything is true. But in the long run, that money is earning nothing. So what looks good in the short run may not be good in the long run. This you've seen very many times, right? Short-term pleasure will be followed by long-term pain, even while eating, right? When you see a sweet, you say, wow, it's great, I must eat it, and you realize that it 30 seconds on your tongue and 30 years on your waist, right? It stays there. So sugar is one such thing. It gives you immense pleasure in the short run and gives you immense pain in the long run. So same thing, cash looks very, very good and safe now, but after 5 months, 6 months, 8 months, when the index is up, it will look like a very bad investment. So what is good in the long run, what is good in the short run, you have to be very careful. In the long run, equity is good. In the short run, debt is good, right? So that is something very clear, because in the long run, debt will not protect you against inflation, and in the short run, the violence and the fluctuation of equity will hurt you a lot. So we are now in July. If you want money by Diwali, it better be in a liquid fund or in a bank deposit, not in a equity fund or an infrastructure fund. Even that would be even worse, right? Also understand that when you want high returns, you will have to take high risk. Now, high risk does not automatically lead to high return. High risk sometimes lead to big losses. So your mental ability to take that. For example, in a debt fund, the riskiest perhaps would be the credit risk fund. In credit risk fund, you may get 8% or 8.25% when gilt is about 6.5% or 7%. So that extra 1.5% comes along with risk. It does not come free, and that risk is you could lose part of your capital. So if that 1.5% is wiped out by the capital loss that you made, bad luck. But to get a high return, you have to take a risk. When you take a risk, it does not make high return your right. It is not true, but you have to take risk. That is something which you should understand, right? Rupee cost averaging in the long run in an index fund is easily the safest bet for you to make money over next 30, 40, 50, 70 years, right? If you're 20 years of age and you're going to invest till 90, or you're going to invest till 80, and then you're going to withdraw for the last 10 years, over 70 years, it is almost guaranteed to make you money, far more than me telling you put into this ICICI Prudential fund or put into this White Oak fund. It does not really matter which fund you put in. In the long run, if you do not know how to pick funds, and in 30, 40 years, I have not really learned how to pick funds, I wouldn't really know anybody else who has been able to do it consistently. So pick an index fund, do a dollar cost averaging or a rupee cost averaging as we call it, and do an SI, which is an SIP over such a long period of time, that is more or less guaranteed for you to make money. Also understand that in the short run the business and the share price may not be connected, but in the long run they are connected. So if you go and see full Indigo flights, it may not translate to EPS immediately, but in the long run, if Indigo builds up market share, etc., gives decent service, then there's a good chance that it will make money in the long run for you, right? This is just an example, don't copy, because I don't see a great return on equity or return on net worth, but yes, building up market share, that they are doing. So so these are some of the principles. I'll continue in the next one. Thank you.